Hi all, my name is Paro Anand and I'm bringing to you today my brand new book, Nomad's Land, beautifully edited by the wonderful Sudeshna Shom and beautiful cover, just a stunning, absolutely beautiful cover by Priya Kurian. So this is a book that I started writing about 3 years ago, and it was relevant then. But it's very strange that as I was coming to the finishing of the writing of it and the finishing of the editing of it, it became more and more urgent and more relevant than when I first started out. So without further ado, here is chapter 1. Mountain Girls, children of forever skies and endless horizons. They are fed on yesterday's dreams and stories, told and retold endlessly. These dreams color their thoughts, guide their paths, even though the dreams are not their own. For their own dreams have not been fed by memories of homelands and yesterdays that they have never seen, and futures of what could have, should have been. They dream, both of them, of living here, today, in the now. Their dreams are made up of the fight with a friend, the food they wanted to eat, the film they dreamt of acting in, the boy they wanted to talk to. Their dreams are not of the world that their families have left behind. These were girls of forever skies and snow-clad mountains, yes, but that was long ago. One remembered it some of the time, although she tried her best not to. But sometimes memory would be triggered by the smallest things and rise unbidden. The color of a rose, the familiar smell like the fragrance of cooling rain on hot stone. But they were snatches of memory, no more than a little swath, not the swathes of whole remembrance like her grandmother and mother had. The other girl had no memory of her own homeland, for she was born after her family had fled their homeland when the genocide began. She was born in this foreign land, and the only home she knew of, home, was from the memories and stories of her mother and others. The fabric of what was then had so enveloped her mother that she was blind to all the now that surrounded her. Memories smothered her. She came alive. Pema's mother came alive when she lived in yesterdays and died a little bit every time she had to live in the now. These girls wanted to move forward, not back. There was nothing for them there, nothing left. So this is a story of Pema, who comes from the Kushavan tribe. Now, who are the Kushavans? They're a made-up people, a tribe that I made up because I had a certain image and a certain ritual in my mind. And through my research, I could find no one people who would fit my image. And so I made up a tribe, made up their customs, their homes, their foods, their clothes, and yes, even their language. And it was very exciting. I've never done that before. I felt a little bit like God, making up a whole people. The Kushavans, who then there are various sub-tribes, and Pema belongs to the Kushaha tribe. And as the name suggests, the happiest people. And Shanna comes is a Kashmiri Pandit girl, and she is driven out. Her family is driven out after her father is killed, and they escape the Kashmir Valley. And so she's brought up with a lot of resentment, a lot of unease about the home she comes from. And I'm not going to read too much more, but one of the things that I do want to read is of Pema. Now, you see, Pema, as I said, belongs to the Kushaha tribe, and she is very close to her grandmother, who she calls Mola. And Mola is very weak, and she's dying, and she's been dying for a long time, but she's struggling, and she's wanting to cross over to the next world, but she can't. She's not being able to, because there's a certain ceremony of her people that cannot be performed right now. And it's called the breathtaking ceremony. And without giving too much away, it's not Pema who can perform the ceremony because she's a relative and relatives cannot. It's also an outlawed ceremony, so it's others are sort of frightened to perform it. So Shanna, who becomes friends with Pema in a school that they go to, is asked to be the breath taker, the Druyosan. They gathered all the things that were going to be needed: a stone or wooden bowl into which the soul would go as it lifted from the body once life left; the stick with feathers from a black rooster's tail tied with red string. This was to be propped up in such a way that the feathers would flutter with every exhalation of the elder. As the fluttering of the feathers decreased, it indicated that the breaths were weaker, with longer gaps in between. And so I'm not going to describe the whole ceremony because it's quite long. Shanna kneels on a cushion on the ground. She gently taps the yak tail wisp just above Mola's chest and repeats the words that must be said for each breath. Sans ko mayu leaf. The leaf is long and drawn out, and she places her left hand on Mola's chest to feel the heartbeat. Mola exhales a breath as long and as deep as she can manage. As the rooster feathers flutter, Shanna gives the yak tail a flick and turn as she wraps the breath around it. It seems so simple. How could something so significant, so important, be this smooth and easy? Doubts distract Shanna and stay her hand. Mola opens her eyes and looks deep into Shanna's. The girl shakes off thoughts that visit her brain like uninvited guests and guides herself back into the words, to the laying of hand, to the tapping, to the winding. Debek Dan taught her a deep meditative concentration. She breathes in, exhales. She closes her eyes, keeping only Mola's face in her consciousness. Sans ko mayu leaf. Sans ko mayu leaf. Over and over, till the rest of the room and the world dissolve, and the only objects are the objects of relief and release and Mola. There are people in the room with her. Pema, Pema's mother, and the father standing near the door. Sans ko mayu, leaf. Exhale, wind. Sans ko mayu, leaf. Exhale, wind. Sans ko mayu, leaf. Exhale, wind. The rhythm of the words hypnotizes. Shanna starts to feel the room filling up. Others have entered, and as they do, Mola's breath flows, easier, softer. Sans ko mayu, leaf. Her hand turns, the rooster feathers blow gently, softer. Sans ko mayu, leaf. The length and strength of each breath decreases. The rooster feathers flutter less. Mola's face relaxes. The deep wrinkles get absorbed back into smoother skin. It's like she's getting younger. Sans ko mayu, leaf. A weight lifts from the grandmother. Her lips turn up in a slight smile. Her eyes flicker open. She looks one by one at her daughter, at her granddaughter. Her finger indicates for them to come closer. As they bend towards her, she kisses them on their foreheads and then indicates that they need to leave. They're crying, reluctant to leave. Mola whispers to Shanna, barely audible, "Their tears are keeping me. Their love binds me. They're not letting me go." Shanna indicates to Pema and her mother that they must leave the room. They bow to Mola one last time and kiss her feet and go. Shanna waits and then lifts the yak-tail whisk to resume. The older woman looks around the room one last time, a look of such peace, such love. Her gaze comes back to rest on Shanna. The love sweeps over the young girl. "I'm ready," she whispers. "I'm almost there, Dhruyo-san." Shanna nods, understanding, and resumes her chant. Sans ko mayu, leaf. Sans ko mayu, leaf. Thank you are the last words that come from Mola. I'm going to leave you with just that. And I hope that you're going to read this book because it's a book on inclusion, a book against excluding and driving out of people just because they are not people like us. Enjoy the book. I hope you do. Let me know what you think of it.